You're listening to Now I've Heard Everything. Conversations with the icons of our time.
I have had my stroke of luck because with my stroke, I have become a better person. It has changed me drastically, and I have learned a lot.
Actor and stroke survivor Kirk Douglas, today on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson. Tomorrow, October 29th, is World Stroke Day, to help us all recognize the causes and effects of stroke. Now, back in 1996, a severe stroke nearly took the life of one of America's greatest actors, Kirk Douglas, who was then 79. Overnight, this dynamic and seemingly ageless icon of film was plunged into a whole new reality, which he later admitted even had him considering suicide. But it turned out that in real life, Kirk Douglas was every bit as tough and relentless as the heroes he played on screen. And then Douglas did something even more heroic. He not only went public with his battle to regain his health, he wrote a book about it. And in typically defiant Kirk Douglas fashion, he called his book, published in 2002, My Stroke of Luck. Now, I have to tell you, it may be hard to listen to this interview, but I promise you, if you stay to the end, you'll draw incredible inspiration from it. In a moment, my conversation with Kirk Douglas.
We're about to take a step back and listen to an iconic voice from our recent past. It's one of over 10,000 interviews noted radio personality Bill Thompson did over a 30-year span. We think you'll enjoy it.
So here now, from 2002, Kirk Douglas.
It was very important for me to write this book because I realized that a stroke is so common. There's about 60 million people in the world suffer with some form of heart disease, and of course there's the entertainment industry has a program of using protocol to see if you are subject to that, because anything that prevents it, I think, is worth trying. But I went through so many different feelings. Suicide, and such deep depression. And I want to write a book that not only will help people with some handicap, but also help people in general, because I've realized that I was so involved with myself. I was always thinking one pick, another pick, and you don't allow yourself to think of all the things that are happening in the world and what you can do in relationships with that. So I started thinking, and the most devastating aspect of my stroke was depression. And I realized that all people suffer from depression in various degrees. And I wanted to write about what I found as a deterrent for depression, which is such a simple thing, because depression, as I wrote in My Stroke of Luck, is too much self-involvement. You are thinking too much of yourself. You are so egocentric. Oh, woe is me. Okay. But how about other people? And when I would lay in bed once, and my dog wanted to go out of the room, and he was at the door, so I got out of bed, I opened the door, he wagged his tail, he was happy, and he left, and I was happy. And I realized I did just a simple thing, and I helped him, and I felt good. So I thought, in the best to try to think of other things, try to help other people, because no matter how worse things are, they could be worse. And so that helped me a great deal. And people who have read my book, and that's why I gave it the title. It was my stroke, but it really also a stroke of luck, because I learned so much about myself, and it helped me. So I I am very pleased how people have reacted and to the book, and that pleases me so much. And that's why, as I said before, Bill, I like to do radio, because then they don't have to look what is he's wearing, how about his long hair. They can only be concentrating on what you're saying.
Plus, you don't have a sound man to worry about this, and a lighting man to worry about that, and a floor director and another director, and
Exactly.
10 other people who all think they know what's best for the interview.
Exactly.
Well, you ask, and at one point in the book, you ask kind of rhetorically, why do some people, when they're faced with a challenge, just collapse while others seem to thrive on the challenge? Do you have any insight into that?
Well, I suppose that depends on your background. I have been lucky, because I have been raised in abject poverty. So I had no way to go but up. I also told my kids that they didn't have my advantages. If I had thank you, if I had a father who was a movie star, there's enough money for. I think it's really it's a handicap. That's why I have such respect for what my son Michael has done. And by the way, Michael did the audio cassette of My Stroke of Luck, which pleased me very much. He did a very good. I said, Michael, I want to, as he said, Dad, I can talk better than you.
Well, it occurred to me as I was reading your book, would you even be sitting here alive today if it weren't for Anne, for Michael, for your children, your grandchildren, all of the family that are around you? If you'd been all by yourself, you would have been dead years ago.
Yes, I would have made sure of that. But when any disaster strikes, lucky the man who has a team to support him, who has a wife like I have. She was wonderful. And also she could employ tough luck. When I said, oh, honey, I have been so much. I think tomorrow I would like breakfast in bed. She said, breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen. So we would laugh, a sense of humor. Thank God my son has a sense of humor. If I said something to them in my garbled speech, and he said, what do you say? I said, Michael, very distinctly, Michael, don't you speak English? So we will laugh, and a laugh relaxes you. And so you have to learn. You have to learn those things to survive. But the greatest lesson my stroke of luck taught me is to help other people. I think that's why we are on this earth. Those that have more than others should give to those that have less. And we have, my wife and I have a program. We're doing all the playgrounds in the school system of Los Angeles, because they're all dilapidated. And we think a kid should have a beautiful playground to play in, so school is not such a terrible thing for him. There's some compensation. So my wife and I have done 170 playgrounds so far, and we have 300 more to go. But that's fun. You know, when you go to an inauguration and you hear the kids doing that program or singing, it's wonderful, really wonderful.
Probably almost as exciting as a second bar mitzvah.
Well, you know, lots of people are thinking, oh, I have become very religious. Not at all. When I had my helicopter crash and almost broke my back, 2 young people died. And I said, why am I alive? And they are dead. Who knows? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe I should be doing something that I'm not doing. But it got me thinking of religion, God, death. You know, when my mother died, I was holding her hand. And she went in and out of a coma. And then she looked at me, and she saw that my frightened face, and she said to me, don't be frightened, son. It happened to everybody. And then she died. So very often I've thought of that. Of course, when you have a stroke, you think of death. And then I think of what my mother has said. Sooner or later, it happens to everyone. You don't know when. Here I am. I have had this stroke about 4 or 5 years ago. I'm doing a movie this March with my son and my grandson, 3 generations in one movie. I don't know if the world is ready for that. So I'm lucky. So I say I have had my stroke of luck because with my stroke, I have become a better person. It has changed me drastically, and I have learned a lot. So in that way, I'm very, very grateful.
But it's more than just that. It changed you, but by changing you, it has changed hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions of other people's lives for the better as well. I mean, it wasn't just about you.
Well, Bill, I hope so. You know, as I was signing books, I don't know, about 500-600 books in Washington, I was getting exhausted. But so many people came up with me. Lots of them had strokes, or lots of them had a father, a mother, or some relatives that had a stroke. And so many said, oh, you know, I read your book to my mother. It helped her. Because I try to be positive. I say never give up. You know, I try to influence people in that way. And the only religion I deal with, I say, do unto others, and you will have others do unto you. Now this is a simple thing in the Christian religion, Islam, Judaism. So why don't we all embrace that? And I think that's all the religion you need, even though I have the ritual of a second bar mitzvah. I think that was a drama in me that couldn't resist it, to have a second bar mitzvah when you're 83 years old. But the rituals of religion don't fascinate me as much as a basic principle that every religion tries to make you a better person. And when the world gets to be better, we might just do away with something awful things have happened. I was with my wife 2 days ago at Ground Zero. So sad. And while I was there, they found the body of another firefighter. And you think of that atrocity, but you realize that something good has come from it, because people are much better to each other. People have become more caring. People have risked their lives for others. Now, how long that will continue, who knows? But if we can go in that direction, we'll have a chance to have a better world and a peaceful world.
Kirk Douglas died in 2019. He was 103. Now, you can get your copy of My Stroke of Luck by Kirk Douglas by tapping the link in our show notes, by clicking on the link in the description below if you're listening to this on YouTube, or by going to our website, heardeverything.com. We may earn an Amazon commission if you make a purchase. Heardeverything.com is where you can also hear my 2008 conversation with another well-known stroke survivor, the former CBS morning personality Mark McEwen.
People have asked me, did you know you were having a stroke? Did you know you were in big trouble? At the time, you don't. All you're trying to do is like being underwater, and all you're trying to do is get to the air.
And also at heardeverything.com, you can hear my 1992 interview with Kirk Douglas talking about the novel he had just written.
When you write a book, you have no director to direct you. As an actor, it's marvelous, Bill. I play all the parts. I play the women. I play the older men, younger men, boys. So I sort of act out a scene, and then I say, Kirk, you were terrific, and I write it down.
And of course, we post new episodes of Now I've Heard Everything every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. And thank you so much for listening. Next time on Now I've Heard Everything, immigration has become a centerpiece of American political discussion these days. But let's go back to my 2009 conversation about immigration with journalist and commentator Stephen Roberts.
These spasms of anti-immigrant feeling have always profoundly misunderstood the American character. The fact is, the great genius of America is that we're never perfect and we're never finished.
That's next time on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson.